I am here in the studio, and I'm going to be doing a short, not so much a review as a bitch session about the Nady audio MM-242 4-channel mini mixer. So I was looking forward to getting this, and I ordered it a few days ago. It arrived today, and I just started setting it up, taking it out of the box, looking it over, and I went to go find a power supply for it because it does not come with an included power supply, and that's important to remember. So you have two options with this mixer. You use a 9-volt DC negative tip, a negative center power supply, just like a Boss power supply, or so they would have you believe. Or you use just a regular old, 9-volt battery. Stick it in there. Don't forget it's there. So the first thing I noticed, because I did not have a spare Boss power supply laying around, is that this battery door is a bitch to open up. I was checking to see if it came with a battery. Since it doesn't come with a power supply, I figured they could at least include a cheap little battery, but they did not. So then I went ahead and I remembered that my Korg ES1 MK1 uses a 9-volt negative tip power supply, like a Boss power supply. So I have I used to have a massive pedal board, which I kind of hobbled about half of it back together there. I use a True Tone 1-spot CS12 Pro isolated power supply for that, and it came with, and then I also bought separately and pieced together a ton of adapters, just a bunch. Anything that uses a 5.5 millimeter by 2.1 millimeter barrel style power supply. So I have these splitters in here, and the Korg the ES1 doesn't use nearly the milliamperage that its power supply is rated for. And I figured, since this little mini mixer, I'm guessing it runs maybe 150 milliamps, right? But I went to go use one of these very standard, like industry standard, everything from guitar pedals to surveillance cameras use these, right? And this isn't going to focus, and I'm sorry for that, but it doesn't fit. It just doesn't. It's not tight. It's just way too big. So I can't use that. I can't use any of these power supplies that I have. Not a single one. None of the adapters. The only one that kind of fits in there is one of the this 1-spot CS12 Pro cables that it's a polarity reversing adapter. So it would then be positive center. Well, I can't use that. It wouldn't fry anything, despite what the idiot at Nady says, and I will get to that in a moment. It just wouldn't work. I'm not, an electrical engineer. I just know from experience when that happens with this level of power, milliamperage, and everything, it just doesn't work. It doesn't blow anything up. So I said, well, that's great. It didn't come with a power supply. It didn't come with a battery. I don't have a battery, and I don't have a compatible power supply. Let me call Nady. I bet they'll help me. I just got off the phone with another company, just as a little anecdote here. Pure Tone, they make the full contact output jack. So I have one installed here in my Schecter Telecaster. This one keeps spitting out the cable. I called them. They said, oh, we revised that model. We'll send you one for free. They took my address. They said, expect it very soon. Great. So, having just got off of a very positive experience with a big-ass company, I figured Nady, you know, I guess I got cocky, but I figured I'd try my luck. So I called Nady. To their credit, I spoke to a human pretty quickly. It wasn't a 1-800 number. I just dialed 2 for customer service. And then I told a guy what was going on, and he immediately interrupted me and was like, yeah, well, you know, did you read the manual? No, I'm a guy. We don't read manuals. We know everything. So I said, no, I didn't read the manual yet. He said, well, you need the specific power supply built for this thing. If you use anything other than that, you'll fry it. And I said, so you're telling me if I try to use any 9-volt DC negative center power supply with the correct milliamperage rating, which doesn't matter a whole lot because you can put 500 or 1,000 milliamp power supply into a pedal that uses 50 milliamps, and it's fine. It uses the current it needs. Again, not an electrical engineer, just something I picked up doing this stuff. He interrupted me and said, no, they built it specifically to use that power supply. And I said, well, you know, why didn't you include that power supply then? Because there was nothing about that when I purchased this. But I did notice that those power supplies were like $20. The mixer is $30. So you pay almost as much for the power supply as you do the mixer? That sounds dumb. I don't see how that's a good idea. And I said, well, I guess that must be why you guys didn't use a standard 5.5 by 2.1 millimeter jack, right? And he said, yeah, must be. And I said, well, that really sucks, man. I think Nady dropped the ball. And he goes, in a very condescending and totally insincere, sorry about that. Like, sorry about that. What are you going to do about it? Kind of thing. So I said, all right, thanks for nothing, man. Hung up the phone and then started making this video. I haven't tried it yet. It could be fucking great. I don't see how it could. I mean, it's not going to improve my tone. The best I could ask for is that it does its job. And as of right now, it's not allowing me the opportunity to allow it to do its job. So I'm going to track down a 9-volt battery. I asked the guy, I said, well, if I were to use a battery and deal with that, which I hate, sure, they're a reliable source of isolated power, but then everything's got batteries in it. That just sucks. You're paying for battery. There's many reasons why I think that just sucks. So, well, how long would a battery usually last? And I'm asking him this based on, you know, the milliamperage, like the power consumption of the unit, right? If it's on 100% of the time, given its power consumption and the rating for the battery, exactly how, you know, not even exactly, ballpark, how long would it last? But he didn't get that. It went right over his head. He says, well, how much are you going to use the thing? Every day? And I said, whoa, heaven forbid I use your product every day, but let's say for argument's sake, yeah, let's say I'm going to use this thing every day. And he said the battery will last about a week then if it's not rechargeable. I didn't ask him about rechargeable one because I don't have a way to recharge those. So every week, 9 volts are like $5. So, you know, $20, we'll say $15 a month because I'm a generous man. $15 a month for a mixer, to run a mixer that cost me $30. So in 2 months, the batteries alone would have cost as much as the mixer. So I'm not happy. This is not great. I'm not happy with Nady. I don't have much experience with them. I don't like them so far. I don't like the guy's attitude. I don't like the crappy way they built their product, and I don't appreciate them lying to me about things like the power consumption and you know, the proprietary power supply it needs when we all know goddamn well that it doesn't. So that's it. Yeah, I do not recommend this product, and after talking to customer service firsthand, I do not recommend or support Nady.